Hi, I'm Matt Finney,
And I'm ready for the weekend.
and this is the Bad News Network. House Democrats have proposed a plan for social safety nets and climate policy to the price tag of $3.5 trillion, and they plan to pay for it with tax hikes. The proposal includes top corporate and individual tax rates of 26.5% and 39.6% respectively. Joe Biden mentioned that he was actually hoping for more, but they settled on the lower numbers. Biden has, however, stated that he does not plan to raise taxes on anyone making less than $400,000. It includes a 3% surcharge on individual income above $5 million and capital gains tax of 25%. With these accurate percentages, we could expect a deadline on when the budget would be paid for this gigantic bill, correct? No. This is the government, silly. There's still a hefty degree of speculation on if these tax increases would even fully pay for the giant bill in its entirety. Great. The plan also intends to invest nearly $79 billion in the IRS, because who doesn't love those f***s? The intention is to bolster the IRS so that they can collect more taxes faster. But if you ever need money back from the IRS, you can kindly go f*** yourselves. On the whole, the Democrats have said they plan to use the revenue for public education, public insurance plans, household tax credits, and green energy incentives. This among the various other investments that may or may not spring up in the course of making $3.5 trillion off the backs of the tax-paying Americans. Wasn't there a war that started because of a tax on tea? I don't know. I'd pose that question to Facebook, but I'd probably get banned.
The Met Gala happened last weekend. If you don't know what that is, it's okay. It's pretty much rich people Comic-Con. Celebrities and the like dress up in crazy clothes in the name of fashion to help distance themselves from people like us and myself who wear mesh shorts and graphic tees every day. I'm not sure what the goal is, but the outfits are pretty hilarious. Lil Nas X dressed up like modern day C-3PO, while Kim Kardashian looked like she just came from fighting crime in Gotham City. But out of all these outfits, there's one person that stood out to get the most attention out of everybody. And that is outspoken Democrat Representative AOC. She decided to wear a giant replica of a Chick-fil-A to-go bag in the form of a dress that had "Tax the Rich" written on it. As expected, Republicans are dumping on her hard, while Democrats are praising her for her efforts to help change a broken world and system. Apparently the best place to change a broken world is at an event full of super rich people where tickets cost upwards of $30,000. Now AOC was given these tickets, so that's fair. But where the hell are my $30,000 tickets? I have a gorilla snuggie. I'd be down to go get drunk off champagne and eat finger foods all night while watching rich people be ridiculous. Must be nice to have all that influence and opportunity to get $1,000 tickets just gifted to you. Currently, AOC's constituents are fighting for federal funds to recover from a hurricane that destroyed New York. I bet these people don't give two about the message you're sending on television that they can't even watch. Taxing the rich is pretty cool, but have you ever had a house that wasn't completely underwater? That'd be pretty cool too. AOC had the dress commissioned by Aurora James, who is an African-American woman that AOC went to specifically to support a black-owned business, which is pretty noble. But Aurora and AOC were seen leaving the Met Gala with AOC's boyfriend and Aurora's boyfriend, Benjamin Brofman. Brofman, whose father owned Warner Music Group. So, you know, a billionaire. Hey AOC, you got a little bit of hypocrite right here. I can't imagine that was a fun after party. I know my man picked up the bill because both of those ladies weren't grabbing at it. The cherry on top of all this is what happened this week when a local artist and self-proclaimed lunch lady and single mom claimed that AOC and Aurora stole the concept of the design for her artwork. The artist's social handle is Velvet Bandit, so go ahead and check out her social media and decide for yourself. But this does really fit with AOC's new campaign tagline, "Steal from the poor and give to myself."
Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom just missed the gallows this week, easily defeating his opponent during California's recall election. Republicans had hoped that the frustrations over how Newsom handled the pandemic would bolster their view that a new representative for the state was needed. You'd think so, but unfortunately for Republicans in the blue state of California, they're outnumbered 2-1, leading Newsom to a sweeping victory. The GOP-backed candidate who challenged Newsom was right-leaning radio talk show host Larry Elder, who people have regularly compared to Trump. Governor Newsom claimed that Elder was more extreme than Trump, while President Biden called Elder the closest thing to a Trump clone I have ever seen. Which means Biden has seen actual Trump clones before. They just weren't as lifelike as the actual elder. Good job showing us your hand, Sleepy Joe. Prominent Democrats and even the president himself offered support to Newsom during the closing days of the race, while former President Trump stayed fairly quiet. That is, of course, until right after the election, where Trump claimed that the election was rigged. Classic Trump. At least he's consistent. If you can't beat him, tell everyone they cheated without any evidence. With this win, Newsom became only the second governor in the United States history to defeat a recall, which is surprising because besides Elder, Newsom was up against some real tough competition. Like former Olympian Caitlyn Jenner. Jenner, who gained little to no momentum, eventually left the state and the race to go film a reality TV show in Australia. Priorities, am I right? Even though this fight is over for Newsom, he still needs to keep his hands up and his chin down as he is up for re-election next year. Opponents of Newsom will be ready to battle with hopes of a rising tide of people coming through with disdain for his COVID practices, with California having the strictest rules around the pandemic of any state in the country. In order to out Newsom, there are going to have to be some strong candidates, preferably better than a Kardashian or former Terminator. But in any case, you'd think that Californians would do better than re-voting for this rules for thee and not for me Californian who wants to lock down the entire state while he gallivants around having open dinner parties and whatnot. But sure, go ahead, vote him back in.
There has been a lot of misinformation going around throughout the pandemic regarding coronavirus and the COVID vaccine, but don't worry everyone, an expert has stepped up to help clear everything up. That expert is none other than female rapper Nicki Minaj. Recently, Minaj tweeted that she was still waiting to get the vaccine until she did some more research, which is totally fair. Her trepidation to get the vaccine came from one of her cousins in Trinidad who claimed that the vaccine made her boyfriend impotent as well as swell his testicles. I will tell you right now, I got both shots from Pfizer and my balls are as small as they've ever been. I think if there was a vaccine that would protect you from COVID, make it so you didn't have kids, and make your balls bigger, there would be a line of dudes waiting to get the shot. This whole situation, which is now being referred to as Ballgate or Inflategate, has caused many people to come out against the rapper. Dr. Fauci went on the news to refute the rapper's claims, and even Trinidad and Tobago's health minister, Terence Dialsing, had a press conference to let people know that getting the COVID vaccine would probably not make you impotent or make your balls swell. After the first round of criticism, Minaj tweeted that she had been invited to the White House to speak on the subject, which was a step in the right direction. The White House went ahead and immediately denied these claims, but I wish they were true. I really want to believe Joe Biden wanted to see a picture of Nicki Minaj's cousin's boyfriend's balls or show her his own balls to see if they were swollen. Surprisingly, many conservative figures have come to Minaj's defense. Tucker Carlson has talked about this random dude's balls for 2 nights in a row on his show, making sure he gives the people exactly what they want to hear. Minaj has defended her statement all on social media and told fans that she has been put in Twitter jail, which she tweeted, which means she probably wasn't in Twitter jail. There's only one way to solve this, and it's a cage match between Nicki Minaj and Dr. Fauci, which I'm willing to pay upwards of $100 to see. Unlike a Jake Paul fight, which I will not pay any money to see. I don't care if Minaj gets canceled from this. The only person I really feel bad for is the random dude whose swollen balls have been all over the news for the past 2 weeks.
This week we say goodbye to comedy legend Norm Macdonald. Norm passed away at the age of 61 after a 9-year battle with cancer. In true Norm Macdonald form, he kept quiet about his diagnosis and didn't tell the public as he continued to do what he loved in spite of the disease. Actors and comedians alike have expressed their sadness on social media, and the Canadian-born comedian even got a shout-out from Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Norm started out in the local comedy clubs in Canada until he moved to the United States to pursue a career in comedy and acting. He worked on the television show Roseanne before becoming a staple on Saturday Night Live. He even had a show on Netflix come out in the past couple of years called Norm Macdonald Has a Show in 2018. Norm, you will be missed deeply by people around the world. This place just got a lot less funny this week. Go and do your dirty work. Fair winds.
Chapel Hill High School football team crushed their rival opponent Carborough High School 55-6 last week. Why are we reporting on this? Because Nick is gone and I'm gonna do what I want. Also, I went to that high school, so I think it's pretty cool. Besides trampling their rivals into the dirt, the team also made headlines after they started Brooklyn Harker at free safety. Brooklyn is the first female player to suit up for the Chapel Hill football program, which is badass. Not to take anything away from anyone in this situation, but wrestling has been a co-ed sport at that school forever. Girls wrestled against boys all the time. We had girls on our team that were f***ing terrifying. But even I shudder at the thought of getting taken out by a 300-pound high schooler who's the size of a fridge running at full speed. Brooklyn, you are an absolute badass, and I hope when I have kids, they are as brave and determined as you are. In way less impressive female sports news, Elena McLaughlin made her MMA debut last week and ended up winning her bout. Elena is a former Special Forces medical sergeant and also a former dude. Elena is a transgendered MMA fighter that transitioned from male to female 5 years ago. Before we get deeper into this story, everyone should feel comfortable in their own skin. We all have one life to live and we should live it the way we feel is best for us. But when it comes to the most contact sport, mixed martial arts, there needs to be a longer discussion to decide the best way to handle fights like this going forward. McLaughlin is the first transgender athlete to compete in the sport since 2014, when then transgender athlete Fallon Fox broke her opponent's skull in the ring. Broke her skull! After the fight, Fox's opponent was quoted as saying, "I fought a lot of women and have never felt the strength that I felt in a fight as I did that night." I can't answer whether it's because she was born a man or not, because I'm not a doctor. I can only say I have never felt so overpowered in my life, and I am an abnormally strong female in my own right. I'm not a doctor either, but I would have to assume spending 33 years as a biological male while putting your body through hell to prepare for war might give you a slight strength advantage towards a woman who ran track and field in high school. The vice president of Combate Global, the MMA promotion that held the event, said that he had a hard time finding McLaughlin an opponent for the fight. No sh**. McLaughlin's opponent, Celine Provost, is a stand-up gal, praising McLaughlin for fighting and saying she wants the sport to be as inclusive as possible. Provost even almost got the better of McLaughlin in the first round, but got worn down by McLaughlin in the second. The MMA community is sort of split on their opinion. Most don't think a fight like this should ever happen. The other portion, probably scared of cancel culture, wants the sport to include as many types of people as possible. I don't know the answer. I of course want the sport I love to grow and support as many people as possible, but even with all the violence, I don't want to see someone hurt to the point of skull fracturing or death.
And finally, in Florida news. Ever get pulled over by the police? Ever try to seduce the police and get out of being arrested with the best moves that you can come up with, all while in the pouring rain against your vehicle on a multi-lane highway? Well, that's exactly what Florida man did this week. In a video captured by passing motorists, 57-year-old Richard Wolf of Crystal River rubbed himself outside of his vehicle while thrusting his hips at a police officer. Wolf was initially pulled over for using the grass median and all the turn lanes to pass traffic. A failure to obey traffic signals, slap on the wrist with a fine at best, but Wolf wasn't going to let mediocrity stand. Wolf decided to exit the vehicle while the police officer was checking his tags and threw his arms up, goading the officer to tussle with him. Officers continued to yell commands for Wolf to quit agitating them. At one point, Wolf removed a knife from his waistband and tossed it into the grass. "What are you scared of? I got knives, you got a gun," he screamed in the pouring rain to the officer, who now had received backup units. Wolf then proceeded to twerk, grind, and gyrate his body against the wet pavement and his own vehicle while stooping down and fake charging at officers. Eventually, after crossing multiple lanes of busy traffic, the police had had enough and gave him the old two-pronged medicine that sent Wolf packing like a sack of potatoes into a drainage ditch on the far side of the highway. After being arrested, he was booked in the Citrus County Jail on charges of resisting an officer without violence, fleeing from the law after being ordered to stop, and reckless display of booty magic without a license. And with that, I'm Matt Finney.
And I'm Alex Pokey.
And this is the Bad News Network. Our news is at least as bad as the news you're getting already, and I want to wish a happy retirement to Carlos Condit, UFC fighter extraordinaire, the natural-born killer. Carlos has been fighting for decades and has had some of the best fights you can see in MMA fighting. Is a friend of mine, and I just wanted to say, man, you did the shit of that job. I want to wish him good luck in his future endeavors, as he's got a coffee company and probably a pretty sweet jean deal coming your way. So if you want your legs and ass to look as good as Carlos's, check his stuff out. I don't know if that's true, but I just made that up. Good luck to you, Carlos. Great career. As always, you can save 25% when you use code BNN at checkout at rangerep.com. Have a great weekend, everybody.